Now, for you guys that do regularly follow my videos and uploads, it's no secret that I was disappointed post Nintendo Switch reveal event. And one of the biggest disappointments I took away from that event was the Nintendo Switch's $299 US launch price. Now, I was disappointed for two reasons. The first reason being the fact that we'd spent so long in the lead up to the Switch reveal event that there'd been so much rumors and speculation floating around and suggesting that the Nintendo Switch would be cheaper than the Xbox One and the PS4. And when you've spent so long in the build up, you get used to the idea of it being cheaper than those systems. So naturally, when we did find out the Switch's price, it was disappointing. And the second reason I had for disappointment, and this was probably more concern, was the fact that it was pretty much priced more or less exactly the same depending where you live as the PS4 and the Xbox One. And it didn't come with any bundles or software. So that kind of set off a big alarm bell in my head. Now, just personally, between you and I have actually warmed up to the Switch's launch price of $299 US ever so slightly. And I'm going to dive into my reasoning for that at the end of the video. But before we get to that, I'm going to quickly share with you some news and thoughts regarding the Nintendo Switch's launch price. And that is, according to VG247, Nintendo are apparently making a profit on each Nintendo Switch console. Now, before we jump the gun and start condemning Nintendo to death, I can kind of see this as a positive. Now, you might think, oh, those greedy bastards pricing it exactly the same as the PS4 and the Xbox One, and it's not even as capable power-wise as those machines. Now, maybe I'm being a glass half full kind of guy today, but I'm going to choose to see it in a more positive light. And the reasoning I have for that is, you can always go down, but you can never go up in price. So at least if Nintendo are making a profit on the Nintendo Switch, if they fail to move units, they have the breathing space to cut the price of the system or bundle in a couple of games, which can go a long way to getting people over the line when purchasing a system. You know, you always prefer to get the bundle which comes with a couple of extra games and costs you a few bucks. So if Nintendo can maintain that $300 price point and roll in a game with no added costs, then that's good news for Nintendo. Now again, because I'm a glass half full kind of guy today, the Nintendo Switch has apparently also burned through most of its pre-orders in Japan and the rest of the world. So again, that's good news for Nintendo because considering it's still priced relatively the same as the Xbox One and the PS4, it seems to be moving through most of its pre-orders. Now, yes, the pre-order numbers for the Switch weren't huge. They were actually only 2 million units. But you know, comparing that to the Wii U, that's not a bad start at all, considering the Wii U sold less than 10 million units worldwide over the course of 5 years. So it seems like it will actually ship through most of its original 2 million allotment of Switch units before the launch of the system. So that's good news for Nintendo, and on the plus side, if it does struggle to move units after the launch because, you know, let's face it, maybe a lot of these pre-order units went to the hardcore or fanboys, at least Nintendo have some breathing room in their pricing to get more aggressive with the system. But let's move into why I've softened a little bit on the Nintendo Switch's pricing. And it's down to a couple of reasons. And the first one is I've tried to stop looking at the Nintendo Switch in the same light that I look at the Xbox One and the PS4. Because when you compare it to those two systems, it's the same price point, but it just doesn't stack up. You don't get the same power from the Switch that you get on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So in my head, I've stopped viewing it and comparing it to the current gen systems, and I've actually started looking at it and comparing it to tablets. Now, I've been thinking about buying an Nvidia Shield tablet for actually a few weeks now, and it's an impressive system. It's not a bad system at all, and I think when you lump the Nintendo Switch into the gaming tablet space, it stacks up. It stacks up quite well against other offerings. Now, it's not quite as powerful as the Nvidia Shield tablet, but it stacks up okay against it. And when you look at other tablets and other brands like Samsung and Apple, tablets range in price drastically. You can get a $100 cheapie, or you can go all the way up to the top of the line $1,000 Apple iPads. And when you throw the Nintendo Switch into that mix, it can hold its own. And in fact, it's my belief and personal opinion that it's probably superior to a lot of these systems in terms of how you actually interact with the systems. You know, you've actually got controllers on a full-fledged portable tablet. And that's something that a lot of other systems and tablets just aren't doing, period, at the moment. And to boot, it's also got a significant power advantage on most of these other tablet offerings as well. bar the Nvidia Shield tablet and a handful of other devices. But all in all, it stacks up extremely well to other tablet offerings. But I guess the issue Nintendo face with the Nintendo Switch is people will always compare them to the Xbox One and the PS4. Now, I still compare them to those systems in my head, but I know that when compared to other devices, which it probably falls more in line with, like gaming tablets, it stacks up okay. But it's still somewhere in the middle, isn't it? It's still somewhere in this grey area between being a gaming tablet and a video game console. And that's the ground and the issues that Nintendo have to work out, and they have to be able to sell people on it, because people are disappointed with the price because it's not as powerful as the current gen PS4 and Xbox One. People don't look at the other side of the argument. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, holy shit Sully, you have changed your opinion dramatically on the Nintendo Switch. And yes, when it comes to its pricing, personally, I have changed my personal feelings towards the pricing. I still do have my same concerns that I had with the Switch originally though. Its pricing is the same as the current gen systems, and people are making the comparison between the Switch and those systems, and it doesn't stack up. But the big one for me, and the one that I always come back to, is third-party support and games. If you want to sell a system, it has to have plentiful, varied content. And this is a big one that Nintendo have struggled with in the past, and it's absolutely paramount that they nail this one if they want to ship Nintendo Switch units. That's a wrap for this one. Let me know what you think down below. What do you think of Nintendo making a profit on the Switch consoles? And what do you think of the pricing when in comparison to other gaming tablets? Can you see where I'm coming from, or do you just straight up disagree? Let me know what you think down below. And as always guys, please remember to rate, comment and subscribe. My name's Sully, this is One Guy's Opinion, and we're gonna talk in the next video.